everyone.
Hi there.
Here with Tuesday Tidbits.
Yeah, I love it.
We're excited to be getting these new channels and pathways going to really gather our tribe. And so we're hoping every Tuesday to put out a new video for you with different topics that have come up for us over that last week, something that speaks to our hearts, something we've discovered internally, externally, whatever kind of comes across us. Or if you guys have something that you want to talk about, or message us, maybe that will be the inspiration too. We'll see how it develops. But for now, it's just stuff that we're gathering that we want to speak, that speaks from our heart.
And we'll definitely do some lives as we start getting more of a flow, and we'll hop on, whether it's both of us or one of us. And I think we should have some guests too from time to time, which will be really, really neat. We both keep running across some pretty magnificent people, human, mankind and womankind that are speaking our language. So we'll have that too. Today we want to talk about, you were going to fill it in, but.
Oh, I'm a little slow on the uptake today, if you haven't noticed.
Which is actually kind of perfect, because we're going to talk about knowing, believing without seeing. So I knew
without seeing, yes. So I was just really like telepath to it, to seeing if you could get it. Just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fill in the blank. What did you find?
Fill in the blank.
Yeah, so believing without seeing. And I think, this is such a lovely topic. And it was a few months ago, it really, you hear something over and over again, but sometimes it just sinks in for whatever reason, everything, just the words that are said. But for me, it really sank in when I was listening to someone talk about reality and how our physical reality that we put so much weight on a lot of times is just a sliver, literally like this, a sliver of actuality. And what we perceive with our five senses is such a small portion of what's actually real. And when you start to fine tune your senses and the clairs, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, all of these higher level senses, or other level, I don't want to like put it on a hierarchy or anything, but other level senses, it's truly incredible how often you're validated by things that you don't see necessarily with your eyes, hear with your physical ears, sense with your physical skin. There's so much more out there. And when you start to tune into it, it's validated over and over and over again.
And it's like, there's times, and certainly throughout my life, where I've had many people in my life who are clairvoyant or clairaudient, and I'm not that. But I'm super, I think you would call it clairsentient, which is I know that I know that I know that I know that something is right or wrong. I know that something great is happening for us in our world right now. I mean, I absolutely know it. And it's an interesting, what did you call it? Other sense. It's just an interesting other sense, this very strong, intuitive, or just knowing that, you know what, everything is super cool. Like, it's time to celebrate.
Yeah, magic.
It's magic.
And that's, you start to tune into the magic too, because it surrounds us at every given moment. And when we can fine tune our senses like that, then it's like your eyes open up larger and brighter and bigger. And you realize that sliver of reality, these blinders that we had on for so long, you start to go like this. And then all of a sudden you begin to see everything outside and
The noises. They're seconding the
yeah, exactly.
like, we know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, that's actually a really, really good point, because
You go ahead while I grab this little one. Nobody will mind.
the dogs are really just reminding us right now of exactly this point, because human senses are limited. Dogs have senses where they can hear and smell way more than a human can. So just because it's, we're believing in the non-seeing, think of an eagle, and their perception and vision is incredible, and a dog's smell, and give me one more animal and you could see their amazing senses. Yeah, or bats too. Bats, like their sonar, and whales and dolphins, and all these senses that aren't available to us as humans, but are very real in this physical reality too. So when you start to pull back your perspective a little bit, you realize that where we put so much weight in our lives is such a tiny, tiny sliver of actuality too. And that kind of wording came to me as reality and actuality. And I feel like that's very accurate too.
Yeah. And it makes me think of, maybe this is helpful for people who question faith or question trust. It's like, well, if for you go, oh, maybe I do see things that other people don't. Maybe I hear things that other people don't. Maybe I feel things that other people don't. And then you start to dive into that, strengthening that, and trusting in it, strengthening that. And you go, oh, I see why people have faith in things that they don't see.
Yeah, and it really does. I think this last year has opened up so much perspective and perception in how important faith and trust is, that there's so much going on that we can't perceive. And even, the masters of the masters of the masters, they're still human. And there's still things that they trust and have faith in beyond what has been proven in their physical creations too. But I think it also, I've been reading a lot about quantum physics, and it's fascinating. Quantum physics too is that, the things they're starting to discover with quantum physics, our brains can't even wrap around. We don't have the ability to perceive these things with where we're at in human evolution at the moment. So when quantum physics puts out a new discovery or a hypothesis, it's like, well, how is that even possible? And now they're like starting to prove these possibilities too, in these very minute, where energy starts and where it begins too. And that is being proven and is very real. And now how does that percolate through the densities of physical reality too, which your human brain can't totally wrap around. But the more you start to have faith, the more you start to see, perceive, feel, and open up to something larger than just this sliver of reality.
And that makes me really want to just share also along those lines. There's so much being discovered, and I think that also part of what we're doing with this transition in history, with this growth, that we are also going to uncover and discover a lot that was hidden from us. So that's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And if you can go into it with, well, okay, yeah, there's going to be a lot of new discoveries, which historically new discoveries were laughed at and poo-pooed, and sometimes the people died before their theories were ever made common knowledge or people say, oh, that's actually valid. That's
Yeah.
actually, what did you say? Actuality.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these things both ways going on. So give yourself some opportunity to open up and say, you know what? This is a time in my life and all of our lives where it's an adventure.
It is.
And can I invite myself to, I'm going to believe some stuff. I'm going to know some stuff that I'm not going to see for
Mm-hmm.
a while.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And I love invite yourself. I think that's such a beautiful thing. Invite yourself to be open, for a minute, a day, an hour, whatever it is that feels good, but just inviting yourself to open up to the idea. And maybe you can't perceive, feel, see anything, but just opening up to the idea that this reality that we always put so much weight on is not just everything. And I think every single person that watches this has had deja vu. Every single person that's watching this has had somebody's going to call me today, or thinking about somebody and then they call, or a coincidence, or a serendipitous something or other. That is all outside this sliver of reality. That's all your validation right there too. You think about somebody hard enough, they're going to pop up in your lives. Or if you're thinking about them, they're probably thinking about you too, because it's all connected. Every part of it is connected. And when you really start to open up these channels, you start to see more. You start to feel more. You start to understand more, and just have this knowing, and it's validated over and over and over and over and over again. And we all need validation. All of us
Yeah.
need validation.
Yep. It's really neat. And I've heard this also more than once too. So as you were talking, it made me really think of this, that 2020 and beyond now is a time where we're all going to become more and more and more clairvoyant, and actually we are going to be able to know what each other are thinking and feeling. Now, have we known that before? Yeah, we have, but it hasn't been so apparent. And I noticed this in my own life and my own interactions with other people, that we need to be nice. You need to be nice in your own head too, not only to yourself, but to other people, because they know. They've always known, but now it's really important. And because it's going to become more and more as all of these senses we cultivate, and we say, oh, well, I'm willing to hear things that supposedly I hadn't before, or know things that I didn't know before. And it's not weird. It's part of the transformation.
Yeah. And there's new energies hitting the planet, and that's why chaos starts too, is because you start to perceive things, you start to feel things. And if you are holding on to things that don't resonate with these higher energies, they're going to push you to heal it. And when your box is too small, you start butting up against it, and you have to expand. And the only way to expand is healing. The only way to expand is going internal, going inside, and healing the wounds, and marching into the shadows, as scary as it is sometimes. And we all have them. You're not alone in your shadows. Every single person has them. That's what makes light, is knowing what dark is. And so it's like the monster under the bed. We can make it into something huge and scary, but it's all energy. And yeah, it can be scary and uncomfortable to look at, but once you look at it, it's like, oh, it's just a little dust bunny.
Right.
I made it such a big thing, and it's just a little dust bunny. I'm just gonna sweep that up, clean it up, heal it, and move on. The bravest thing you can do is the internal work, and being courageous at looking at those dust bunnies under the bed.
Yeah. And that again is why we've created this, and we talk about this stuff, is because doing the work, it can, it's got this reputation of being so hard, and I don't want to look in those dark places. And with so much going on with change, there's even some spiritual amnesia going on. There's some very purposeful, I'm not going to look at that, I'm not going to look at that, I'm not going to look at that, because I'm safe over here. And that's really uncomfortable. But again, we would invite you to do the work and go, it's probably going to come out anyway. And if I discover, if I just open that closet door and go, there's a monster, but at least now I know what kind of monster it is.
Know what it looks like.
I know,
yeah.
I know what kind of weapon I need. Mm-hmm. Do I even need a weapon, or was it a dust bunny?
Yeah.
I just might need a vacuum cleaner.
And I think, the more you look at it, the less scary it gets too. So sometimes you open that closet and it's like, oh my gosh, nope, shut the door. And you shut the door for however long. And then you look at it again, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I see that it's got this, that, and the other. I'm going to shut the door again. But then the more you look at it, you're like, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. And then this less scary it gets. It can always be uncomfortable. I'm not saying that it's easy. And I'm not saying that it's a walk in the park by any means. But the more you do it, the more it's like, okay, I can do this. I've done it and I came out the other side. I can do it again. Because really what you feel from healing is incredible. It's like this step you never knew you could take. And then you see the view from a little bit higher. And you're up here and you look and you're like, I never even noticed that tree over there before. And then you heal again. You're like, look at that mountain over there. And you just start to see things that have been with you every single day, all the time, that are constantly there helping you, that you just breathe by and don't notice. So that healing is getting a new perspective. That healing is opening up, backing up, so you can see everything that's around, and all the support that you have too, all the angels and the guides, and the, life is conspiring with you, for you, not against you.
Mm-mm. God is for you. Your guides are for you. Source is for you. And of course, this is how this works. You cannot make this stuff up. So yesterday, it's been on my mind. I'm like, I need to clean the windows in the house. Well, and then I forget. And then I came out and the sun is shining through this very dirty kitchen window of mine. I was like, that's it. I'm cleaning the window. Okay. That's right. I'm supposed to do this project. So you don't know until it's like that. I know that I need to do this, but I didn't know, and I didn't really believe how much I needed to do it. So I get out, I scrub the window, inside, outside. I am still stunned today looking out the window. I'm like, wow. I mean, it feels so goofy to just be, whoa.
Yeah.
That's the same window I've been looking out for years. Well, I will say years. I did clean the inside a couple months ago, but anyway, and the perspective is completely different just from cleaning the window.
Yeah.
So again, you can't make this stuff up. We did not think of this topic because of that. But I'm like, oh, right.
Well, that's a perfect analogy, right? We always get, just like the outside of a window, there's weather, there's all sorts of things that create residue. And we get residue in our own space every single day. I always think of like a sticky hand too, those sticky hands my kids play with. One whack and it's like all the hair that's on your floor is now a sticky hand. It's kind of gross. But anyway, like the window, the residue, if you don't clean it up, it clouds your perspective, it clouds your vision, it clouds your own field. And you have to do the maintenance. Yep. So that you can see clearly through the window. And then all of a sudden you have a whole new perspective.
And a whole new knowing.
A whole new knowing.
I mean, they wrote songs about this. I can see clearly now.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is something I really love, and I think Kayla loves too, is to do a physical act like that. And then I love to just watch and go, oh, what else am I going to see clearly now in my life? And now that
Yeah.
we're talking about it even more, my eyes have been experiencing maybe some allergy stuff. I'm not sure, but the last 3 mornings, I think it's just this kind of thing. I've been going, holding my hand while I rub them together to create this beautiful energy, holding my hands over my eyes and just asking that they be healed.
Mm-hmm.
So that physical, I'm just so interested in watching now what happens. Is that window's going to be clean? The car's getting cleaned either tonight or tomorrow. And
Yeah.
what more will I see?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not physical.
And the external and the internal, they're so connected too, that, a walk isn't just a walk. Like, I always think, lately I've been trying to go out on my walks, walking the dog, and just, what do you have to show me? A feather on the ground, a bird that flies by your head, seeing a hawk. I see hawks everywhere, so they're one of my messengers. But it's not just a hawk on the, pole or whatever it is, the light. It's a message. There's messages all over for us if we just open up a little bit and have the willingness, like Lane was talking about, the willingness to see beyond the sliver of reality, that we've just been in this dimension, really ingrained in the dimension, for a long time. And now all of a sudden we are evolving in so many different ways and reconnecting these pathways and grid systems. I mean, our whole body, and I bet we'll do a talk on it too, but we're being updated physically, even mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There's so many updates coming in right now. And now is like, oh, okay, a feather is not just a feather, a coin on the ground is not just a coin. There's messages everywhere, and they're all linked together too, just like the window and, vision and seeing clearly. It's these patterns, 11:11 on the clock, numbers. That's a big one too.
Big one.
How we communicate with the whole actuality of everything as well. So, it's a big invitation too, is just to open a little bit to, stepping back out of this sliver of reality.
What was that beautiful title you told me before we started recording?
Oh yeah, there's a book that now I have to look at it. There's a book that I just heard about, and it's called The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. It's by Charles Eisenstein. And maybe we'll do a video to share this story in the back of the book, because I was listening to a podcast over the weekend, and Charles Eisenstein was on the podcast, and he read this story at the end of the podcast. And it was just so incredible. It touched my heart in so many ways, because it was about the perspective. It was about gaining perspective on human evolution, but being human, and really gathering your tribe is what a gathering of the tribe is what the title of the story is called. So it's just about everyone coming together in this awakening time where we're
and the reason I wanted you to say it was, one, because I've heard it 3 times now, and every time I just go, oh, wow. Because we do know, if we will just plant our butts on a rock and take some 5 deep breaths, and your heart knows. And the other thing I believe it knows, even with all the chaos, because change is chaotic, it's very, very, very rarely comfortable.
Yeah.
But even through all of that, we kind of know that we already said no to 3D.
Mm-hmm.
It's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I just heard it put that way today. Like, we said no. We said we're pulling out.
Mm-hmm.
We're finished.
Yeah.
And another way that could be said is, God already won.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like when I hear one, it means that someone loses. And I don't even feel like God can't lose. We
Nope.
can't lose. I mean, we're all collectively deciding what our collective consciousness is going to experience together. So your thoughts do matter. It's not that that doesn't matter, because it could be more painful than other ways. And we could live in joy and love and light all the time if we can all just open up to the idea that there's a lot more happening than just, what meets the eye.
Yeah.
But the us versus them, or win or lose too, it's we can't lose. We just can choose a better way to step into the light and live in the light, and not have to suffer in the duality and polarity anymore. That game can be over. And it's our decision, it's our actions,
Yeah.
intentions that sets it free to once and for all.
Once and for all. And I just really thought that was really neat, even though I've heard it before, just the way it was put.
Yeah.
We chose. We're pulling out, and we just got to keep choosing. But it's done.
Yeah.
So I guess now that's another testament to just believe it, know it, even before you see it.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also there's so much that has come to that point where if you're questioning it, you probably already know it.
You already know it. Yeah.
And if you're questioning it, there's 100,000 other people plus questioning it too. And the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, the more we relate on this level to just full glory, like my weirdness and all, like crystals, I bring them everywhere, like people probably think I'm crazy sometimes, but it feels good. So why not?
Why not?
Even with the chaos, sometimes you feel like, oh man, everyone comes in and I'm an acupuncturist by trade. And so people come in and, well, I've got this, that, and the other going on. But so many people have it so much worse. I'm like, don't deny your reality. Don't deny that you're going through a hard thing right now, and that's okay. Like, let it be hard. Let it suck, because pain sucks. I see a lot of people in excruciating pain, and well, I shouldn't be this way and I shouldn't be that way. I'm like, shouldn't. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling, because that's your reality. That's your experience, and it's there to help you grow. So don't compare yourself to somebody else. You could have empathy. You could have lots of empathy for where they're at, but don't deny yourself your own reality too. Because the more we stand up and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm experiencing, the more we hold space for everybody's reality to be perfect. And that it doesn't need to change, because it truly is perfect. Nothing happens by accident either.
Well, and those people that come see us on some level, especially at this point, I believe they know that they can get out of pain, because otherwise they wouldn't go.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't go.
Yeah.
They would.
Yeah, I think I see some people that, the funny story, but a lot of people are like, the wife will come in and she feels so good, so she forces her husband to go.
Oh, wow.
And
yeah.
So you see those that are like, oh, I don't know. And I have seen people that really believe they can. And that is just, the belief is your intention. So if you believe you can't heal, then you're not going to heal. Right. If you don't have hope, if you don't have any kind of belief, or even, and maybe it doesn't have to be belief, willingness to believe. I think you just have to be willing. That's like the crack in the door, right? Yeah. The willingness.
The sense of something and again, this is that without seeing it, I have a sense that something could be different.
Yeah.
Without seeing it. And I wanted to say that if you're here and you found us, then for sure you are feeling the change, whether you're really aware of it or you're like, hey, so-and-so said, go check out these ladies and their stuff. And you're like, oh, I kind of like it. Or maybe it's not for you. But if you stick around, for sure you're coming up, and not good, bad, worse, otherwise, but for sure you're coming up in that frequency and the, yes, right. We're coming out of our boxes.
Coming out of our boxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, with everything, take what you resonate with and leave the rest, because we all have our own little truths. And then there's big truths with a capital T too. And those little truths are different for all of us. Just like Lane was talking about, she you know, the clairvoyance isn't a thing, but the clairsentience is a thing. Like that's her truth and her pathway. She could really feel that. I could see things and know things and understand things and feel things too, but that's not everybody's path. And so that's not one way is better than the other too, but we all have these little truths, these lessons that we need to learn, these pathways. We all are sent here with a mission. We all have a very distinct mission. But then the big truths, you know, that maybe we'll dive into more of those too. But the big truth, you know, like we all have this fire burning in our hearts. That's a universal truth that you can't deny. And the more you ignite this fire, the more you can perceive.
Yeah.
More than just the desk is here, the chair is here.
Wow.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in there, so I hope you guys get something useful. That, you know, my intention is that at least one sentence or one story or whatever comes up ignites your heart a little bit, like the ember blowing on the ember in the fireplace. That all of a sudden it's like, oh, and it opens you up a little bit more. And that's just, I love talking about it, so that's why.
That's why we're sharing. Yeah, because whether it is one sentence or, you know, a whole bunch of sentences, and that gets you really going, oh wow, there's other stuff out there, and I don't have to see it.
Exactly.
I don't have to see it. There's so much more going on. Always has been, always will be, but we really get to tap into it now. So hope
this week, explore it. Yeah. Like you're going on a walk. Okay, what do I get to see today? What is, you know, what's life conspiring to show me? What's life conspiring to tell me, guide me? One of my mantras in prayer every day is that I am divinely guided. And I strive for that, because I don't want to make these decisions alone. I have a lot going on in my world, and I just want it to ease and flow. And the more you surrender into this just being divinely guided, the more it's like, oh, the flow, like, and you sometimes I'm like, oh, there's a feather and it's pointing that way. Okay, what's over there? You know, and you have to you're being aware really of everything around you too. So play with it this week. It's fun. It's exciting. So fun. Your guides, you know, some of them are very funny and have good senses of humor. And I laugh all the time at myself because I don't listen to them. And then they're like, I told you so. I said it very blatantly that you should take the bike rack off your car before you go to the car wash, because they're not going to let you get your car washed. Yeah. So anyways, that was one of my validation stories. Like, listen to the voices.
Funny. We're definitely going to need to do a talk about being divinely guided and turning over, just surrendering all the control all the time.
Yes,
because it's been profound in my life, more so recently, to where I'm at. How did I ever operate before? So we'll definitely talk about that. Stay tuned. We love to hear from you on the Telegram chat, which maybe you have found this video there, but all the links will be below wherever you are listening to this. And thank you, and thanks. Share, subscribe, like, whatever it looks like on whatever platform we're on. And we appreciate you all so much.
Yes, and thanks for visiting at Life at Love and Above.
Yeah. Woo.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Bye.